man.
Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure. Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
He's just picking the big guys. Jordan Mailata, he's huge. He'll be good later on. Josh Sweat, he's tall as hell and strong. Let's get him. We'll figure him out. It's working.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM Week 2. Jeremy and I did not kill each other after Week 1. So Week 2, we are back every morning right here on DSM Media, 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. That's Jeremy. I'm Phil. We are brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure you use promo code TRENDING, TRENDING, at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. And it's about time because we got to bring in my man, Jeremy's man, El Parcero here. He's a true 5 for 5er, but we know he loves his Philadelphia Union the most. And we're bringing him in to talk some Union because they are the best team in Philadelphia at this moment. They just locked up the number 2 seed last night against New York. So welcome to the show and give us everything you got on the Union.
Absolutely. But first off, before we start anything off today, man. Never mind. Of course, the YouTube ads was trying to drop the Doop song, but listen, Doop. Yo, get pumped up because this Philadelphia team is heading into the playoffs on a good note. Listen, yesterday, getting a point against NYCFC is a little bit disappointing, but in the bigger picture, in the bigger scheme of things, you kind of understand what Jimmy Boy was trying to do. That first half, look, they got that red card in the 20th minute. NYCFC did. So now NYCFC were down a man. And you would expect that they had the momentum too. Right before that red card, they were starting to move the ball on NYCFC. They had the ball in the zone a lot in that first half. Then 5 minutes later, off great counterattacking, this is the specialty, the bread and butter of the Philadelphia Union. Leon Flack actually was Casper to Leon back to Casper. And it was funny because earlier this week in the press conferences, NYCFC manager or coach Ronnie Dyla started chirping a little bit. He was trying to he was pretty much saying Philadelphia Union are a good team, obviously 2 seed right now. He was saying that, but even though they are the 2 seed, we do have the better striker, which I'll agree. Valentin Castellanos, as much as I hate that dude, he's pretty damn talented, better than Kasper Shabilko. But he also said that once upon a time, former United States men's national team product Sean Johnson was better than Andre Blake. Now, I'm sure you guys can even point that out, that Andre Blake is on a class of his own in the MLS. Yes. And Sean Johnson is old news. All right. So, and it showed on that first goal. Sean Johnson literally stands still like the Statue of Liberty, watching the ball go right in front of his face. And Kasper Shabilko was able to bury that. Second half was a little bit disappointing. NYCFC put the foot right on the gas pedal. They had a nice opportunity. Andre Blake with his best Devontae Smith impersonation with a great reflection or great reaction and being able to save that ball. But a couple minutes later, Castellanos, like I mentioned, he is a Union killer, and he was able to position himself really well. That was great. It was actually a great play by the left winger of NYCFC, Medina, who was able to space it out a little bit more. And then Castellanos was able to abuse Olivier Mbaizo, our fullback. Literally, in greater terms, he mossed him essentially with his head, and he was able to get the goal. But a couple minutes later, the Union kind of started getting the word that Nashville tied to the Red Bull, and obviously they were playing NYCFC, so those were the only 2 other teams that would compete with them in the 2 seed. So Jim, as in soccer terms, said they parked the bus and they sat back and they just allowed the point to kind of ride. We walked out of NYCFC with the point. The disappointing part of this is that there's bad blood between us and NYCFC. I mean, in any Philly sport, we hate New York. Like that's the same thing in soccer. We have yet to win in Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, to Union fans, it's like the place growing up where you did not want to go. I don't if it's your aunt's house, your grandma's house, church, whatever it was as a kid. That's what it is for us right now with Yankee Stadium. We have yet to win there. It's a daunting task. There was at least, I want to say, at least 10 players who slipped on the field yesterday because it's tough. Like changing a baseball stadium or baseball field into a soccer field, that is very tough.
So honestly, I'm not a huge, I watch the Union from time to time when they're on, but so they play in Yankee Stadium all the time.
NYCFC.
When I was reading the recaps of last night, I just thought that was like a special attraction. I just figured they played somewhere else.
No, so the issue at hand right now is that NYCFC are owned by not only the Steinbrenners, but they're also owned by the City Group. So the City Group, obviously Manchester City is the big club that they own. They also own Melbourne City. I know for a lot of Sixers fans, they don't want to hear about Melbourne, but Melbourne City and also NYCFC. So the issue at hand right now, New York, as you know, real estate is ridiculous. Absolutely. Now imagine trying to build at least a 30,000 seat stadium within New York in one of the 5 boroughs. That is definitely tough, and that's what they're kind of running into. But you would think that you have Yankee money, you have oil money from the City Group, you should be able to find a stadium in the 5 boroughs. And we hate it. The whole league hates it. The thing is that dimensions of the field is even rough because it's much smaller. It's much smaller than actual MLS fields. And we just kind of been having to deal with it, all of us. NYCFC have had issues as well the past 2 years because obviously with schedules conflictions with the Yankees, they've had to go back to Red Bull Arena, which is, can you imagine like playing in your rival stadium? Like NYCFC and the Red Bull hate each other above all things, but no, overall, look, it's a good time right now for the Union. It was a tough year. We went through our own little player drama. We had Jamiro Montero, one of our star attacking midfielders, going through his sort of drama. I'm not sure if he wants to stay here, go back to Europe. We had Champions League earlier this year, which was a great accomplishment for the Philadelphia Union. And above all, they were the Supporters Shield winner last year, and they come into this year playing Champions League, all the drama, being the number 2 seed. New England was on a class of their own this year, so there was no one catching them. But if you're a Philly sports fan, you should be really proud of this team. This team is continuing to put a smile on all of our faces. They're literally an elite team in the MLS, and it's great to see.
And I kind of just recently got into the Union. I kind of knew that we were doing this show, and I was like, well, we got to cover everything. So actually, the day before we started the show, we got tickets to the Union game against Cincinnati, and it was like the most. It's like a smaller like stadium compared to other ones, but they are probably the most electric that I have been to. It is absolutely nuts. Hearing like the dook. It is electric there. We came out winning 2-0 there, and it's what I noticed that there's like a lot of like young guys that kind of just like they're just kind of ballers over on that team. And I've always known Andre Blake. I know we do have one of the best goaltenders in the league. But yeah, the entire team, you could just tell like they have some fire under them, and they just want to win, and it's just totally electric watching the Union team.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned those young kids. One of the ways that the Union have been able to separate themselves from other MLS teams, they've kind of set that standard. It's playing the kids. In soccer, we don't really do drafts. The Union kind of destroyed the MLS draft. They really don't they try not to pick. They try to trade away those picks for cash, but the way they want to build is through the kids. We have a bunch of kids that are from this area. We got kids in South Jersey, kids in like the Pennsylvania suburbs. We have kids in Delaware, and they're coming up through the system right at a young age, right at like 12, 13, 14 years old. The Union pluck them out. They train them. They prepare them for the professional game. And if they're good enough, they'll go through the ranks. And if they're really good, they'll make it to the Union actual team. And right now, this team currently, all together on the main roster, I believe they have 5 homegrowns. There's 3 right now that are actively being, switched into the rotation of the lineup. But the star kids, like I think you saw on that Saturday night, has been Paxton Aronson, who many know. His brother is Brennan Aronson, who is playing in Europe right now, playing in Champions League right now, which is pretty crazy to think. Jack McGlynn, who's actually made a name of himself for the past couple of weeks. He's a young 18-year-old midfielder who the way he looks at the field when he's out there, it's like a 30-year-old out there.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
He's an assist maker. He's got that nasty left foot, which I think it's going to get stronger. He's only 18 years old, and then you got Quinn Sullivan, who seems to be like a highlight reel. He's also 18 years old. We don't know what his position is yet. That's kind of the tricky part right now. Something centrally. He's great on the attack. He's great on the offense. That's pretty much all we know about Quinn Sullivan. He likes to score some nice goals. He had a nice little bicycle kick against Chicago earlier in the year. But yeah, that's the way the Union are going to keep growing. They keep adding on to this academy. We made $11 million last winter between Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie, who are now both over in Europe. And a portion of that money went back into the youth academy so they can keep growing it and keep making it the standard. Like they have some high tech facilities. They have the best coaching, best trainers. So that's going to continue being it. The one knock that a lot of Union fans have on this club, we see the youth, we see the growth there. But what we're seeing in the MLS, the best teams that win it are the ones that are able to have that quote unquote killer. In the basketball court, it's like that Dame Lillard, that shooter that shoots from anywhere. In soccer, it's that guy who, when you need a goal, right? You're down 1-0. You need one goal. That guy you can rely on to just get you that goal because he's just an absolute dog, an absolute killer. And you lack that. And that's the one thing that we are waiting for here in Philadelphia. But other than that, this is a really well coached team, and they follow the system through, man.
So we only had a few minutes of your time. So what we do on Mondays, it's a thing I've been doing for ages, and we're going to start it on this show. Did it last week. We're going to do it again this week. I always do this thing, #Overreaction Monday. Okay. and you know what? Some people will obviously not read the whole entire word Overreaction Monday, and they'll think some of the statements we make are, stupid and all. But, if you had to make an Overreaction Monday statement about the Philadelphia Union as they get ready to start the playoffs here, what would be your Overreaction Monday statement?
Overreaction Monday statement is, I would say that the Union are going to make the playoffs. I think that to me, or I'm sorry, are going to win the board.
That's not really an overreaction.
They're going to win. They're going to win the
really
MLS.
Going bold with that pick there.
I'm sorry. They're going to win. Still early in the morning. I've yet to have my cup of coffee, but they're going to. My overreaction would be the MLS. They're going to win the MLS Cup playoffs because of the fact that this is a team that has gone through it. Look, Jim Curtin has already lost 2 U.S. Open, which is another tournament for another day we'll talk about, but he's lost 2 U.S. Open Cup tournament finals. We've made the playoffs the last 2 years. We won our first playoff appearance 2 years ago. We lost in the first round as the number 1 seed, and then this year losing in the semifinals of the Champions League. This team has gone through a lot together. There's that strong core piece of players, and it's time. It is time to put it all together. No more talking. Let's go out there and let's get a dub. And let's get a couple dubs and let's bring a championship back home to Philadelphia. And if I may, quick announcement, because it was announced this morning, game 1, round 1 of the playoffs at home, Subaru Park, Saturday, November 20th, we'll be playing against the New York Red Bull. So come ready. It's gonna be a wild one. We still hate Red Bull.
Anything with New York in front of it, we hate that.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude, I can only imagine. I mean, I was at the Eagles game yesterday, and how rowdy that crowd gets. But man, I guarantee that Subaru Park is going to be jumping for that first playoff game.
Yeah, man. It usually was. So 2 years ago when we were there against the Red Bull, our first playoff win, I have a vlog out on my YouTube channel. If you guys actually want to feel what we actually felt, it was completely electric. There was nothing taking our mood down. That's how I expect it to be on November 20th, man. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. So everybody, make sure you're following El Parcero at Parcero Philly. Obviously, he knows his Union inside out, but he does love to brag that he is a Philly 5 for 5er.
Yes, sir.
And he honestly is. So, and the guy does some great work. His YouTube channel is fantastic.
I appreciate that.
All the work you do, you're one of those standard guys that we all watch that, we hope to be just as good as you.
No.
Yeah, I'm kissing ass here this morning.
No, man.
I've had my coffee this morning.
It's all for love of Philly, man. That's all it is,
right,
man.
That's right. All right. Thanks very much for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
Again soon. Go
Dupe.
That's right.
There
you go. All right, so that was El Parcero talking to the Philadelphia Union there as they get ready to start the playoffs in MLS. We're going to move right along because I've been starting this thing with the Pro Level Sports Agency at ProLevelAgents.com. Football journey is what I'm calling it. I had Cream Levers on last week. We're being honored to be joined by another one of their clients, Mike Taylor III. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Very good. I'm Phil. We've been chatting online a little bit with my partner Jeremy here. Welcome to DSM Media. You're one of the clients over at Pro Sports Agents. You've been playing a little bit out in Europe and bouncing around Europe leagues this past year or so. You played at Georgetown University. So just tell everybody a little bit about yourself before we get into more specifics about your career and journey so far.
Okay, gotcha. My name's obviously Mike Taylor. I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. I went to C.E. Bird High School, played football there. Also played basketball and ran track. Then I went on to go to Georgetown University to play football. Then after playing football there, I decided to come take my talents to Europe.
So I mean, looking at so Vince, you're one of your agents there. He sent me a list of all the different places you've played and all the different things. And what's that experience like playing in Europe and going from? I mean, you've been in Poland, Germany. I think you were supposed to play in Turkey, but then that season got canceled. I mean, what's just going from Louisiana, good southern city there, and state, over to Europe. It's got to be quite the culture shock bouncing around Europe.
Well, it's completely different. So before 2 years ago, when I was in college, so my sophomore year, I had an opportunity to come to Poland before. I took some language classes, so I kind of had experience being in Europe a little bit. But when I came to play football here, it's a completely different. Like for example, going to Spain, going to Turkey, Poland, and few other countries is a world shocker. It's different. Each country, people are different, but the one thing they do have in common, even though they speak like different stuff, they're all still people, and it's all kind of still the same in a sense.
Right.
And then is there anything like, I'm assuming it's mostly like the same, but like how different is like the football over there? Is it like a lot of like the same guys from over in like the US going over there, or is it mostly like people in that country that are playing over there?
Mostly is the people in that country. So for example, I had an opportunity to play in the new European League of Football with the Cologne Centurions. So you have what you call your local players, those are your players from that country. Then you have a rule to have up to 8 European imports where they can be from any countries within the European Union. Then there's the rule with the 4 Americans. And in the European League of Football, you only can have 2 Americans on offense and 2 Americans on defense. So it kind of depends like what league. So for example, also when I had an opportunity to play in Barcelona, the rule is that you can have as many guys from Spain, local guys, but then there's you only can have 4 Europeans and 3 Americans. So each league is a little bit different with the rules. But usually when it comes to the Americans, it's usually either 2 or 4.
Okay.
So, is the talent level different over there? Or is it, I mean, I was watching some of your YouTube highlights and stuff like that. I mean, it seems like the game itself is, I mean, it's pretty much standard across the board. I mean, there's not much difference there, is there?
In terms of talent, they got some guys that can play out here. Obviously, it's not as high as the NFL, obviously, but
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, they got guys that can play. Even like for example, the GFL is probably the most established league, but then the European League of Football, I feel like within 2 to 3 years, it'd be even higher than that. But if you want my honest opinion, I would say the European League of Football would be the 3rd best league in the world in the 2 or 3 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. That is pretty awesome. And then when we kind of got sent more about your stuff, it said that you did have an injury back in your senior year, I believe.
Yes.
What kind of injury did you have, and what did you kind of learn from that, and like trying to get back at it?
Gotcha. Let me just give you a little pre-story before that, the lead up to that injury. Unfortunately, my mom passed away during my junior year.
I'm sorry.
I wound up taking a leave of absence. As a result, I mean, everyone deals with death differently. I decided just to go home, spend time with my family, try to, adjust to life without her. Then I decided to, instead of taking like a leave of absence, I decided to return back to Georgetown that year. And during that build up to my senior season, that's when I had to have surgery because I forgot the name of the surgery, but it was something related to like tendonitis. The doctor said due to sedentary for a couple months and trying to go immediately returning to full action, had to go in there and shave off a little piece of bone. And that took me, that basically almost took me out my entire year.
Wow.
Well, I mean, going to Georgetown, this is a Philadelphia-based podcast. There's one special Georgetown guy that, we all love in Allen Iverson there.
Yeah.
So when I saw that you went to Georgetown, when he said you were coming on the show, I'm like, oh, that's awesome because, we love Georgetown here just for Allen Iverson alone right there.
Gotcha.
So growing up in Louisiana, I mean, who was your favorite, were you a Saints fan growing up there?
Oh, yes, sir. New Orleans Saints fan.
So you're an end. Obviously I was watching all your highlights. You're a blitzer. I mean, that's what you do. I know one of your seasons recently in Europe, 10 sacks in 9 games. Who, first off, obviously the Saints, but who were some of the players that you modeled your game after and grew up idolizing that made you want to do what you're doing right now?
Gotcha. Even though I play defense, my favorite football player is Drew Brees. Let's just get that out the way.
All
But
right.
I like to model my game after Cameron Jordan. I like the style he plays. For example, he plays all the reps on defense, doesn't come out for breaks, and it's the same thing. It's not about getting all the sacks or getting all the tackles. It's just how he's affect the game and how he's able to have a high motor. And that's what one thing, like out here, being an American, they expect you to play the entire game. And I also want to have that same impact, like not getting all the tackles, getting all the sacks, but just have a constant motor to be able to affect the game from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, even if we go to overtime.
I mean, just looking at the stats he sent from that one season there, I mean, 9-game season, 41 tackles, 14 for a loss, 10 sacks, a blocked kick recovery for a touchdown. I mean, that sounds like you're playing pretty much every play out there.
Yes, sir. I am.
Those kind of numbers there. And then obviously it makes it seem like you're probably one of the keys on that defense anyway.
Yeah, I would like to believe that. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You sound like a menace on that defense right now, hearing those numbers.
So, all right. So, I mean, obviously, we're a Philadelphia thing, and we got people chiming in, fire Jonathan Gannon and stuff like that. I appreciate that, guys. Well, we'll get into. So, I don't know how much you keep up on the NFL when you're over there. Obviously, the Eagles. Our defense is our 110% our weakest, part of our team. But we got lots of talent on our team. We got the Fletcher Coxes, the Javon Hargraves, Brandon Graham, legendary, not legendary, but really big time Pro Bowl level talent. And the thing that seems to be going on in our city right now is that the defensive coordinator is unqualified for the position. He was very young, inexperienced, got promoted to a position probably wasn't ready for. So what would it be like as a player? Because I know that the veterans on the Eagles defense, you could see them starting to get a little frustrated when you've got a defense that has talent, and you could clearly see, even the average fans can see that scheme should be X, Y, and Z. But this defensive coordinator, is calling plays and running a scheme that doesn't fit the players on the team. How would you handle that frustration to an extent? Like last week, Fletcher Cox made a snide comment saying, "Why am I covering screens? I'm Fletcher Cox. I'm supposed to be, blitzing up the middle and clogging up the middle." But the coordinator's got him dropping back to cover screen passes and spy on a quarterback. So do you get what I'm saying here?
Yeah,
like, how frustrating can that be? And like, how would you handle that as a player?
I'm going to take two approaches to this. So let's say, for example, if I'm a high-profile player like Fletcher Cox, I will kind of make those side comments, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But just being like a regular player or average player, I will probably try to remain as professional as possible. Because, I mean, these guys are getting paid good amount of money. You wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that. Because, like, as the commissioner say, it's a privilege to play in the league. Just to have an opportunity to play in the league speaks for itself. It's a hard situation to be in, but I just feel like you just got to remain professional about it.
Shouldn't any of these players be like going off to the side? Like I've seen it happen in the past in other teams where the veteran players will approach the coaches. We've seen it already in Philly with them approaching the offensive players approaching the head coach who's calling the plays and wasn't calling the right plays. But it seems like the defensive players, even the Fletcher Coxes and the Javon Hargraves, aren't really approaching Gannon. Maybe it's because he's so young. Maybe they don't feel comfortable doing it. But you would kind of feel like, someone with Fletcher Cox's status would be able to go to the coach.
Yeah.
Like, this is not working, obviously. Why aren't we doing something different? But it's not happening.
Like it's a pretty weird situation because they probably know a lot of football too, and the coach probably knows a lot of football as well. I kind of was in a similar situation during my time at Georgetown, like my last 2 years there. I don't want to say any names or anything, but we tried to have like
anybody under the bus here.
Unofficial players meeting because they wanted to get rid of a particular coach. Because I was a young guy at the time, but a lot of the older guys didn't like what the guy was doing on a certain side of the offense. And they were like, "Yo, like, can you get him to change or get someone else in there?" And I remember we called our coach. He was actually mad at us because he felt like we had this meeting behind his back. Okay. So I guess from being in a situation like that, or if I had an opportunity or even if the Philadelphia Eagles would speak to me, I would tell them like I would try to go talk to the head coach first, try to have a sit down and just air out all your frustrations. That's how I would handle that type of situation.
That makes sense.
And that's also the thing is our head coach Nick Sirianni actually is buddies with that defense coordinator. They were on the same team. Yeah. They were coaching the same team back then. And this Eagles team is kind of known for having friends on the team and not letting go of them when they're not doing their job correctly. It kind of happens with the owner and the GM. So we are very known for that.
So what's next in your journey here? I mean, you're still out there in Europe. I think hold on, my phone closed out here. The spring league you were in kind of shut down there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And
so
it looks like you're still trying to play the rest of this year out there in the European Football League.
Yeah. So to add some more to it, I also have a girlfriend who lives in Poland because currently I'm in Poland right now.
Hey, just so you know, I'm married to a good Polish girl. You know, I know all about those Polish, roots and stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm talking to a few teams. Obviously, I want to be back in the European League of Football. If that doesn't work out, I got plan A's and plan B's because it's kind of funny because even though it's European League of Football, it's like college, like coming out of high school, getting recruited for college. It's just like that. You have guys that's super interested in you for like a month or two, then no contact. Right. So, like for me, give advice to another player in my situation, I'll always have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, plan D. Just you always have to be prepared. Yeah.
The end of this little write up that we were sent. I mean, it says that you still have hopes to get into the USFL next year and get back into the States and play and all. So what do you have to do as a player this upcoming season in the European Football League? And what do you have to do to get to the point where that the scouts in the U.S. are going to try to bring you back over here? What's the main thing you got to work on and do to do that?
Well, two things. First thing is that, like on the field, I have to dominate. Just simply that. Dominate it. It's not about getting all the sacks, getting all the tackles. I just got it. When you see the tape from first to fourth quarter, what type of player is Mike Taylor going to be and how he's going to affect the game. Number two, I just need to just get bigger, faster, and stronger and just handle my stuff outside the field, like studying film, getting better on my technique, and just constantly lifting. Because I feel like my motto is that consistency is what's going to get me there. Mm-hmm. So it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen the next day or the day after, but if I just keep being consistent at it and just keep, as some coaches say, just iron out the knife, it's going to eventually happen.
I was watching your highlights and one stuck out a lot at me, and I wasn't taking notes, so I don't remember which one of the highlights it was, but you crashed on like an RPO and you blew up the running back. But the quarterback had kept the ball, and you didn't give up on the play. Even though you had already hit the wrong guy, you still ended up making the tackle. Down the sideline there. Play I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
And that really right there. I mean, all the sacks are great and stuff like that. But seeing a player not give up on a play, even when you read the play wrong, but you didn't give up on it, and you still made the play for your defense, and that stuck out more than any of the other highlights, just because it just shows what kind of determination and drive you have on the field.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, I respect you, man. You do things that a lot of people wish that they were able to do and stick with. So I definitely respect you, man. Keep doing your thing. You're doing great, and I hope to see you just get higher and higher up.
Gotcha. Thank you.
We'll sign you off on one thing. Our last guest, we did it. So we do a thing here. I do a thing every single Monday. It's called #Overreaction Monday. All right. You're a Saints fan. You can make it about the Saints. You can make it about your football career. If you had to give one overreaction statement today, this Monday, that people were for sure going to take the wrong way, what is your overreaction Monday statement for the day?
That's a good one.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh,
Saints are not making the Super Bowl. That would not be something that you could say.
Okay.
I mean, you can. Yeah, it's totally okay.
I think that Odell Beckham Jr. will be a New Orleans Saints by the end of the week.
Wow.
I think he will.
All right.
Only because I had some sources that was telling me that we tried to trade for him. Turns out the Browns backed off, so he's from New Orleans. I'm gonna go with that. I think he'll be a New Orleans Saints at the end of the week.
That's a good one.
I love that. That's
great.
I'm gonna say I have an inside source now.
Gotcha.
And you're my inside source. That's what I'm gonna say right there. We're gonna crop this 28th minute of this show out. I'm gonna say you're my new inside source. Okay. All right. Gotcha. So Mike Taylor III from Pro Level Sports Agency, ProLevelAgents.com. Make sure if you're an aspiring football player trying to take your career to the next level, make sure you check the guys out there. I love this relationship I've made with Buddy, with Gabe, with Vince, Hope, all those great people over there. They seem to really have you guys, the players, like right there. Their business isn't number one to them. Representing you guys seems to be their top priority. So they're great people there.
They're doing a great job.
Absolutely. So I mean, I know you're not, you don't have any podcasts, anything that you want to promote, anything you want to talk about before you sign off.
Honestly, one thing I want to have to say, I mean, I know obviously when you go to college in America, everybody wants to go to NFL. that may not happen for anybody, but you still have the opportunity to continue your career in Europe and see a different way of life and meet new people. That's what I recommend for someone who aspires to continue playing after college.
That's awesome. Great advice.
That's awesome.
There's a lot more sports leagues than just the pro leagues in the U.S. So you can definitely continue your career. Hey, Mike, I appreciate your time this morning. Well, not morning. This is like late afternoon for you over there, Poland. So we're just waking up here on the East Coast. So thank you very much for your time this morning, and good luck this upcoming season. We'll be following along for sure.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Yep. Have a great day.
Bye. You too.
All right. So that was Michael Taylor from the Pro Sports Agents client list there. That was really interesting to hear from him. And the fact that he's not giving up on his football career.
Love it.
To play in Europe. And I mean, Barcelona, Turkey, Spain, Germany,
over.
Poland. He's going everywhere to continue that dream to play pro football.
I respect it. I love it. I love that he's doing it. And hopefully we can see him just get higher and higher over the next couple of years. And we can see Mike Taylor's name, hopefully, in a couple more spots. I'm definitely someone I'll be following along with now.
I mean, the dude gets in the backfield. I mean, if you go on Pro Level Agency, you click on his name and you watch his YouTube highlights, the guy's in the backfield every single play, every play.
Love it.
So, and I didn't mean to bring up like a negative play, but the highlights in the second set of clips on their on the YouTube page, he literally bit on an RPO and blew the running back up. Like, I mean, it was an amazing hit. And he realized, crap, he doesn't have the ball. And he didn't give up. He was able to get up and still make the tackle on the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. And I brought it up because it just showed
that's
his
probably
drive to not give up.
And if someone sees his highlights, that's really going to be something that stick out. Like, you want someone that has a lot of heart, and you can tell he had a lot of heart. He knows his football and everything. So that's something that they will definitely be looking at. And even though it's one of those plays, again, like you said, that he bit, he still didn't give up. And that's something that they're going to look at entirely. That is something that they'll look at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. 30 minutes in. We got a few minutes here to talk some Eagles.
Yeah.
Hashtag Overreaction Monday. Follow me on Twitter, Beard of Knowledge. We'll be going all over it. I was at the game last night or yesterday afternoon. And I've got a lot of overreactions to say from being at that game. But Jeremy, what were your thoughts on yesterday's 27-24? Should I say hard-fought loss? I don't know if that's the right term I want to use.
I don't know if I have the right term for it, but I don't want to give Jalen Hurts the benefit of the doubt. He played great that second half, but that's not going to make up for someone that played terrible in the first half. Jalen Hurts did not have a good first half of football yesterday. And I don't want that all just be forgotten because he showed a lot in the second half. Good quarterbacks are good all 4 quarters of the game. And this second half stuff that keeps on happening with this team, like we're playing well in the second half, playing well in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts even said it in his interview, we need to start off well. We need to be starting off this game and playing well from quarter 1 to quarter 4, not just late in the game. So that's kind of my biggest peeve right now. People are like, they're more upset with a lot of other things than just Jalen Hurts, and I think you need to call Jalen Hurts out on it. He didn't play a very, very well, not even a decent first half. He just did not play well at all. And I think that's a really big reason of why we lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Drew. Drew keeps chiming in on Gannon and the defense. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I think the overreaction Monday thing is that the fans are overreacting in the sense where all I read last night after I got home from the game, all I read this morning before we started the show, everybody praising Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and their growth. I mean, being there live in the game, I mean, maybe it looked a little different on TV, but that missed touchdown pass to Devontae Smith, that overthrown ball to Dallas Goedert, and the one thing that you see on replays when the Baldies and the other guys break down the all 22 film, you see it, but during the game you don't see it, but in person you do. His happy feet in the pocket, even when the pocket's not collapsing, he is dancing around. He reads the first read. If it's not there, he's already like, there were multiple times where he had a pocket to go through his progressions, but he got so jumpy right away. You would have thought 6 guys were about to sack him, but no one was within 2 yards of him. So it's something that really, one of the 2 things that really stood out live in person yesterday is just how fidgety, I mean, he's actually fidgety in the pocket.
He is. And again, it's really frustrating. And I know, and I'm always going to keep on hearing as a young quarterback, he has so much to work on. And I know that's going to keep on happening and people are just going to keep on trying to throw that in my face, but he knows he has the problem. He knows he's trying to fix it. And the fact that he has a pocket and he can just sit still for a couple of seconds and he's still doing it, that's worrisome.
Right.
You know, if it looks like guys might are about to come in and something happens, like, okay, he can work on that more. But when he has a pocket around him and there's nothing happening and he's like, oh, and then he just turns around and does a whole loop running around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you still had a couple more seconds in the pocket. Like,
go
that's
through
worrisome.
Progression 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
You know, especially when you have it. I mean, look, I want to be positive about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni because we have played overall a little bit better than the last 2 weeks. But, you know, the way I'm looking at the Jalen Hurts situation is he's not a rookie anymore. You know, 9 games in this year, 4 games last year. He's had 13 games. We got to start seeing progress. But we know that there's no great quarterbacks coming out in the draft this year. You know, it's a pipe dream. I'm going to be obnoxious wanting Russell Wilson all offseason. I'm going to mention on every summer show in the morning, Russell Wilson needs to come to Philly. But that's a pipe dream as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the odds are he's probably going to be competing for the starting quarterback job next year again. You know, hopefully we use all those draft picks that we have to build the foundation with defense because we're going to talk defense here in a second. The defense is atrocious. You know, so I mean, there is a chance in that, you know, next season that maybe he continues to develop. Maybe, you know, Nick Sirianni continues to develop his play calling ability. You know, maybe there's something to build from there. Maybe not. But we cannot jump to conclusions over fourth quarter performance.
Yeah. No, 100%, I'm 100% with you. I'm tired of the late game. Everyone is fine. Like, hey, what Jalen Hurts did all he could. Sirianni did all he could. Like, it's everything else. But you got to
bring up the flowers. You know, fans throwing things at players, coaches, and there's no call for it. You know, you know that's why, you know, if that happened in another city, it wouldn't be talked about. But because of Philly's reputation,
exactly,
it's gonna be all you see on SportsCenter today. It's all you're going to see all over the media today. How awful we are, and I'm trying to rehab what the Philly fan is based off of. I try to support how great we are as a whole, not the one or two negatives.
No. But
yet again, something happened yesterday at the game, and you know I was there. And I didn't see that happen after the game, but you know, it's uncalled for and unnecessary, and it's why we get the rep we get.
Exactly. It's just them couple fans that just have to. They just have to do it. They want their attention.
They want attention. And, exactly. And you know, why would you want to get banned from a stadium for the rest of your life anyway? Because you know they're going to catch you. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Is that really worth it? Is that really worth it to you?
Not at all.
No.
I mean, honestly, I don't want to go back anyways. So I waited an hour and a half worth of parking lot traffic last night to get out. But all right, so defense. The defense looked bad. And we've been complaining all season long on all the shows on DSM Media about Jonathan Gannon's soft zone defense, right? Well, let me tell you something. When you watch the game in person, it looks like you could drive a Mack truck through their zone defense. I mean, you see it on TV and you see that separation and all, and you're like, wow, that's bad. When you see it in person and you're like, wow, 5 yards this way, and this way are the closest defenders to a wide receiver, you're like, man, this is bad.
Yeah.
Like, it takes what looks bad on TV and in person makes it 10 times worse. It's I don't know what you saw watching it on TV yesterday, but man, I felt like Keenan Allen had 47 catches yesterday.
You're convincing me not to want to go to a game now because I'm just going to pick everything out. I feel like I'd have a bad time more than a good time. I really do. I feel like I'd be like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like, I'd be yelling the whole time, being angry instead of
pretty much what I did the whole time.
Yeah, I bet. Something that I really noticed is we are such a we're not a big defense. We don't have big guys. Like if you bring a big guy like a DK Metcalf or I don't even what his name is Anderson on Chicago or not Chicago on for the Chargers. I don't even know his name. It's a guy named Anderson. And he's like 6'8" on the Chargers offense. And he was bossing Darius Slay. I remember I saw that in front of the end zone a little bit. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is, but like, and I know 6'8", like that is a lot bigger than any defensive guy we're gonna get. Right. But it even shows like the DK Metcalf, he's like 6'5". Them guys are just gonna destroy us over and over and over and over. And so I feel like we just need a couple big guys. All of our guys are shorter. Slay is like 6'1", and that's one of our taller guys. Yeah. So I just feel like them big guys are gonna destroy us. And again, just like you were saying, that soft defense about just laying back and it's
the soft defense and the lack of blitzing and lack of pressure. I mean, again, Herbert, Justin Herbert, again, literally I'm sitting there in the stadium as he drops back on 1, 2, 3, 4, just counting the seconds, and nobody was pressuring him whatsoever. And it was frustrating because we were just talking with Mike Taylor. We've got Fletcher Cox's, Javon Hargraves. Unfortunately, we lost Brendan Graham, but that excuse is over. Weeks and weeks ago. You can't make that excuse anymore.
No.
Josh Sweat, we just gave a boatload of money to. Derek Barnett, the biggest bonehead player. He always has the worst opportunity penalties. But you know what? He's supposed to be a bliss expert. He's not. You got to get pressure. You got to dial up some blisses. And Jonathan Gannon, we've got, Drew said, fire Gannon. Gannon is a wimp. Overreaction. They should fire Gannon. We know Drew is all over the fire Jonathan Gannon today. And honestly, if he continues to play or coach a defense like this, it's not going to be long. We've seen coordinators get fired mid-season before. It is not going to be long before Jonathan Gannon gets fired if he does not change up what he's doing.
No, I totally wouldn't be shocked. And I know we're probably about to pull up this comment real quick, but the completion percentage that we allowed, Justin Herbert had his highest completion percentage of his career yesterday. There was one time where he had 11 completions straight. And the one that ruined that was going to be the 12th. It was an overthrow by Herbert. It wasn't even like our defense making a stop. That would have kept on going to God knows how long. And teams are just going to take that. Good teams, they're going to be like, okay, I can get 5 yards a play.
Why not?
Okay, why not? I can get a first down every 2 plays. Every single time they can do it.
Yeah.
And they're not making
I'm scared
adjustments.
Teddy Bridgewater is going to look like Joe Montana next week.
Oh man, when we talk about that, we'll probably talk about that game more later in the week. I think
that's where this defense is.
This Broncos team will destroy. That is how Teddy Bridgewater plays football.
He's a dinker and dunker and all.
That's what he does, and he's really good at it. I think we are going to get destroyed by the Broncos next week.
We're going to get into that game later on this week.
Exactly.
But we just continue to see the flaws in this team. The defensive line, it's supposed to be one of the best in football.
Yeah,
it's not.
No.
But can you blame them if their linebackers aren't there to help, if the scheme's not there, if the safeties, I can't tell you how many times I saw, safeties and cornerbacks missing tackles and whatnot, so it has to be, the fault has to be put on Gannon's system and Howie Roseman putting the wrong players in the wrong positions, right?
Yeah, definitely. But what you still can see, just like what we said about Jalen Hurts, about how, he doesn't have a lot to work with on that offense, but we can see what he can do individually to see him get better and see how good of a player he really is. The same thing happens for the defensive line. You might not have these extra guys blitzing with you to help, or, you might not have the secondary playing the best coverage, but you can see the pressures you get. Like when the guys are facing one guy, they're not double teamed. You see how much pressure you get, how quick you get to the quarterback. None of these guys are getting to the quarterback besides Hargrave. Hargrave's the only one's been doing things this season. And if you look at all of the players on the defensive line separately, and you're like, you take a couple of plays out, you just look at them and how they're doing, they're not even getting close. So it's a whole team effort. It's all these guys aren't playing to the caliber that we believe they should be. Earlier this year, we were saying that this could be even a top 10 defense. And,
not even close. Well, I was not even close because I knew the linebackers and safeties were bad.
Exactly.
Dude, even Davian Taylor, I know he's getting a lot of reps. He's getting a lot of great practice. And Davian Taylor and TJ Edwards had moments yesterday where they looked good. But on the complete other side of the spectrum, there were plays where they were whiffing tackles. And, the Darius Slay, arm tackle or going up high tackle that ended up getting broken and running for a touchdown. You got to be – they're fundamentals. And that's the coach. And, you got to think that – Nick Sirianni, it kind of seems like hasn't lost a locker room, but you got to think Jonathan Gannon is losing those defensive players and their confidence. Mike Taylor said earlier, he would go to the head coach. You got to think if that's the case, Fletcher Cox, Hargraves, some of the Rodney McLeod are going to go to the coach and be like, at some point they're going to say, we're embarrassed the way we're playing, but we're playing the way we're being told to play. Something's got to change.
And I bet they are. And something about Philly fans, since we were on the topic a little bit before, we need to stop falling in love with these guys that we think are going to be really good, and then it just crushes us. I like Davion Taylor. And I want him to keep on getting reps, and I think he could be something, but I don't want everyone to start falling in love with this guy because Davion Taylor is right now, he is not a good linebacker right now. And I know
he's young. At this point, he's not starting on any playoff team at this point.
He's not. I don't know what other teams he's really going to start on besides
he might not even be on the active roster. Just saying hypothetically he was cut today.
Yeah.
And we wanted to put him on his practice squad if he cleared waivers. Would another team pick him up at this point?
I really don't think Davion Taylor or TJ Edwards really would get signed like that.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I mean, another bad team might take a chance on them, but outside of that, they're okay. They're better than the Eric Wilsons, Adams and stuff like that we signed in the offseason. But these guys aren't, anything special, and they can become that eventually.
Right.
But again, I talked about it in the beginning of the season that bad coaching can stunt the development of young players. And that's exactly what could go on right now. Jonathan Gannon is stunting the growth of the Davion Taylors, the TJ Edwards, maybe even the Josh Sweats of the world, and these other guys. It wouldn't surprise me. It would be really hard to see it happen with a road game next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Gannon doesn't make it out much longer on this team.
No, and if that's what has to happen, look, he's making the same mistake Sirianni's having. You're not making adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Sirianni has not made an adjustment. What really bothered me, we ran the ball first last game. He got a couple yards on the run, and he's like, "Oh, I guess that's not going to work. We didn't rush for 15 yards in the first play. I guess we're going to have to pass over and over." And we just passed the ball for the next 2 drives. I was like,
and he went back to the RPOs.
He did.
We went under center last week in basic plays, and then this week he went. I obviously it's hard to count plays in the stadium,
right?
But it felt like he was probably well over the 50% mark on RPOs again. That was my eyeball test. I'm not sure.
It's frustrating. He's not making the adjustments. He knows it doesn't work, and he saw it work. I know it was against the Lions, but it worked when you just ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Just ran the ball.
Yeah, just run the ball. I mean, Jordan Howard looks great. Boston Scott had some moments. They even mixed in a little Gainwell this week.
Yeah, Gainwell got a tutty.
Yeah. Devontae Smith looked excellent yesterday. He looked like the real deal.
I have him on fantasy.
He could have had 2 touchdowns if Hurts didn't miss that throw.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what it looked like on TV, but in person, it just looked like he didn't have the arm strength to get the ball to the right spot. I'm not sure. I haven't watched the replays yet to see where that throw really was.
No, yeah, that you're pretty much on it. That's exactly what I would have said too.
Sorry, sometimes the appearance in person versus on TV,
it's different.
It's different.
100% different because you're missing out on the actual cam and how just everything is different seeing it in person, everything like that. But Devontae Smith, man, was that like a breakout game for him. I have him in fantasy, so I was very happy. He put my game out of reach to win. So I love it. But Devontae just broke out that one drive. We went into him like 3 straight times. Oh man, Devontae Smith had a great day and love it, man. Best receiver in the draft class.
All right. We're at 47 minutes here. We got to touch on 2 other things, and we got to give an overreaction statement. Sixers, big win against the Bulls. Super shorthanded on Saturday night. Excellent game. I mean, no Tobias Harris, no Isaiah Joe, no Danny Green, no anybody. They basically had missing everybody on that team, and they still were able to pull out a huge victory over the Bulls. Huge statement win. Joel Embiid, probably his best game of the year. And now they got the Knicks at home tonight. We lost to the Knicks a couple, week and a half ago on the road. So it's another good, statement game here because the Knicks are playing good basketball. Thoughts on the Sixers in 30 seconds here?
Oh man, that Sixers team, that entire game was extremely fun to watch. I was surprised. I did not see the game going how it went. Tyrese Maxey is, oh man, he's one of my favorite players now. I love Tyrese Maxey. Just like Maxey becomes a complete point guard, this team becomes even harder to beat. Exactly. So Maxey isn't getting a lot of turnovers, just like we talked about over the past couple episodes. Doesn't turn the ball over, and he's just a really good player. Seth Curry's been stepping up. Yeah, everyone's just stepping up when they have to. And Embiid finally had his game against the Bulls. So yeah, just a very exciting win. A lot more to look forward to for the rest.
Obviously, it's early Monday morning. They haven't said who's playing or not. I would assume, obviously, I'm not assuming. We know Tobias Harris is still out. Yes. Isaiah Joe is still probably out. Danny Green might be. He was a game time scratch, so maybe there's a game time chance that he plays at home this week, which would help. I would still like to see him move to the bench and start. The Matisse Thybulle or something like that in his place. Yeah. We'll see. Actually, Matisse was out last game as well.
Matisse was out.
So he might not be playing again as well. So we're still going to be shorthanded tonight. But I'm hoping home crowd, where the Eagles are 0-3 this year at the Link, the Sixers are
0-4 now
at home. What's that?
0-4 now.
0-4. Geez, my bad. Sorry,
I
missed one of the losses. How can you be one of the best, have the best home crowd and lose nonstop?
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating. Yeah, super frustrating. But the Sixers played much better at home than the Eagles do. So the Wells Fargo Center will be jumping tonight. I see the Sixers beating the Knicks. It'll be a close game because the Knicks are a really good, strong, well-coached team.
They are.
But at home, I don't think the Sixers, unless because we're so shorthanded, if Danny Green's out, if Furkan's back on the bench again or out again, maybe we don't win. But I would hope that the Sixers can, if they can beat the Bulls on the road, they should be able to beat the Knicks at home shorthanded.
And I had a lot of doubt going into that Bulls game, and you know what? I regret it. So I am going to say we will get a win against the Knicks tonight because I did doubt them Saturday. I'm going to take the doubt away.
There we go. All right, Monday Night Football. We're in Pittsburgh. Got the Bears going up against Pittsburgh. Sounds on paper like a low-scoring game.
Yes.
It probably should be and probably will be. So that means it's going to be 47-41 tonight. That's just the way it goes.
Yep.
But the NFL as a whole has been so topsy-turvy the last 2-3 weeks. Betting,
bizarre.
Fantasy-wise, everything. I mean, the Browns can't score for weeks, and they put up 40-something against the Bengals. Buffalo losing 9-6 yesterday.
Jacksonville
6 points against Jacksonville. Come on now. I mean, everything is just all over the place. The Giants winning, but the Cowboys losing. It just nothing in the NFL makes sense in the last few weeks.
Nothing.
So that means Justin Fields is going to throw for 400 yards today.
Probably.
The Bears are going to win 47-41. That seems pretty par of the course, right?
No, yeah, 100%. Something that I didn't look up on actually, and I kind of wish I did before. Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, Justin Fields plays better when Nagy's not coaching. When I know Nagy, seriously, Nagy had some COVID problem. It was last week or the week before. If Nagy's coaching, I'm going to say the Bears lose. But if Nagy is not coaching, Bears win. Justin Fields is the MVP of the week.
That's an overreaction Monday statement right there. that Justin Fields is a better quarterback when Matt Nagy is not coaching. I like it.
For some reason,
it's going to be one of those low-scoring 21-14, 21-10 games. Yeah. I don't buy the Justin Fields hype.
I love it.
That's just me. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, that'll be a discussion.
Ohio State quarterback made it in the NFL.
No, and I know that, but that'll be a discussion for another episode because I know we're already late into this one. We'll get into Justin Fields a little bit later this week.
All right. Give me your overreaction Monday statement about the Eagles, the Sixers, the Union, anybody right now. What if you had to make a bold statement, overreaction statement today? What is it?
Overreaction statement. We don't need Miles Sanders. I don't know how big of an overreaction that is, how much people are going to hate on it. And I'm a big Miles Sanders guy, favorite guy on the offense, huge playmaker. I don't think we need Miles Sanders. I might be regretting this tomorrow. I'm not really sure. Well, we'll see. Again, this is what Overreaction Monday's for.
I said in the offseason, and I got smoked for it, to put him on the trading block with everybody else that I said to put on the trading block. I got smoked for it. Oh, why would you trade Miles Sanders? Because you don't need him. You don't need a superstar running back.
I don't think I wouldn't have said this even a couple weeks ago. And I don't know, Jordan Howard's lighting some sort of fire under me. Yesterday he had 17 rushes, 71 yards. He's doing it, man. And that's kind of the guy that he's able to just run through guys, and we have a run blocking offensive line. I don't think we need Miles Sanders. I will revisit this in tomorrow morning's episode and see how I'm feeling. But I don't think we need Miles Sanders, and that might be my overreaction Monday. Jordan Howard is an absolute beast, and having Boston Scott and Kenny G, I don't think there is a need for Miles Sanders. And I think if we could trade him for something
in the offseason, all right. So my overreaction statement for the day is that if Jonathan Gannon stays the defensive coordinator for this team for the entire season, we don't win 2 more games.
It's realistic. I like it.
We might win 1 or 2 games, maybe. We might only win 4 or 5 games in the season because him as the defensive coordinator, there is we've seen smidges of progress in the offense, little tiny glimmers of hope that playing the Giants or the Jets or Washington, we could win those games. But the defense is not even getting better; it's regressing and getting worse. And we just saw yesterday the Giants won a game yesterday. No one thought they were going to win. Washington, Heineke or Fitzpatrick, if he ever comes back, they could put up points. We're not going to be able to stop. If we can't stop Keenan Allen from catching 47 passes, Scary Terry, in Washington is going to have 67 catches in those 2 games combined. There's a chance if Gannon is our defense coordinator, we do not win 2 more games the rest of the season.
Because you could see that it definitely is like an overreaction. Us only getting 2 wins again when we have 6 or 7 winnable games. When you really look at it, when you say we have winnable games, the other team also says that this is a very winnable game.
Absolutely. When you're 3-6, the other teams are looking at someone told me that Detroit was 0-7, and I was saying how it should be no doubt about it that we beat Detroit, and they're like, Yeah, but you're only 2-5.
Yeah.
Detroit's looking at it as their chance to not go
Yeah.
winless for the season.
Exactly.
So, that's kind of where, this Eagles team is. If Jonathan Gannon is here for all 17 games, we do not win 2 more games the rest of the year.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's that. So
we'll revisit that tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll revisit that some more tomorrow. So Sixers win tonight, correct?
Yep.
All right.
It's my win.
Thank you to our guests today very much. El Parcero.
Yes.
Make sure you check him out at Parcero Philly, and Mike Taylor III. Check out Pro Level Sports Agency. It's prolevelagency.com and at Pro Agents on Twitter. Again, it's a lot of fun. And the CEO is Buddy Ryan. Buddy Walters is the CEO. He's the nephew of Buddy Ryan. So, they're great people. They're great to talk to sports because, they're run by a guy that's been in the football business his entire life. Sitting around that Thanksgiving table with Rex and Rob Ryan, that had to be some fun stuff there.
Yeah.
So make sure you stay tuned in and tapped into DSM Media all week. We got Scotty Talks is coming on tonight. After myself and Scotty, we're going to do a Sixers post-game show tonight. I'm not sure if the Faithful Fanatics are on tonight at 5 o'clock or not, but they probably will be doing a Sixers Eagles recap. Tomorrow we'll be back here at 8:30. We got lots of jam-packed stuff this week on DSM Media.
100%.
Lots of breaking news, maybe some new designs in our t-shirt site. So make sure you're staying tapped in to all the DSM sites on all social media platforms. And that's all I got. Make sure you also check out Manscaped, our sponsor. Trending is the promo code. Trending. It gets you 20% off and free shipping. Again, every episode is one day closer to the holidays. Make sure you get somebody in your life, something that they'll really appreciate and really use. So go to manscaped.com, use promo code Trending. So, Jeremy, anything else before we wrap this thing up tonight?
Oh, that's really all I got to say, man. Hey, go all Philly Sports Union.
Yeah,
It's time.
5 for 5. Instead of go Birds, we're going to go 5 for 5.